Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, I have two more prospects to bring to the table today. Flory 6'10", 235 out of Kansas. It's rumored that he committed to Louisville, but I don't think that commitment was solidified, so it's kind of up in the air. He's being courted by a lot of teams. He may go to the league. Who knows? And the other guy is Zuby Zuby Ejiofor, I believe it is. Power forward out of St. John, 6'9", 245. Big dudes, man. Big dudes. Rim protection out of both of these players for certain. The first person I'll talk about is Flory out of Congo, DR Congo. I really like what I saw from Flory Bidunga, man. He's been out there for a couple years now, so I was able to watch a lot of highlights from him. And he's just a very, very talented defensive player with hyperactive speed. When you think about what Quaintance brings to the table in terms of being able to cover a lot of space really quickly as a huge body, Flory is also that type of athletic. Just moves laterally faster than like 99% of the people his size. At 235, he can guard like wings and stuff like that. Just tremendous length as well. I think his wingspan's probably, just guessing, probably 7'2", 7'3" wingspan, something crazy like that. And he's not extremely strong. He does need to put on some strength for him to really get where he wants to go, especially on the offensive end when it's time to back down people. He had trouble backing down some of the stronger centers in college. But as it pertains to his, rim protection, he's once again, he's playing volleyball out there. He's a volleyball player for certain. He's swatting everything all the time. Averages 2.6 blocks, 3 blocks per 36 minutes, 15 points per 36 minutes, 1.8 turnovers, 0.8 steals, 1.7 assists, and 10.2 rebounds. So double threat with multiple blocks. Shoots 64% from the field, so he's excellent around the rim. He's dunking everything at an explosive clip. I mean, he's just a powerful dunker, really powerful dunker. Catches lobs rather easily. True shooting percentage 64%. So he's not missing much anything. He does not stretch the floor. He doesn't shoot threes at all. And his free throw shooting is about 65%. So that's slightly below average, but you can work with that. It's not a complete problem. And you just love his turnover ratio. He doesn't turn the ball over very much. He's a big guy. He tends to not get stripped as much. That kind of thing is really, really important. So I really like this player. I think that, the fact that he doesn't stretch the floor or really get others involved, he doesn't have that playmaking gene, kind of makes him a bit more traditional old school center. But his speed makes him different. His speed and his ability to be flexible with his hips and stuff like that, moving side to side at a rapid speed, keeping up with the likes of the best wings in this draft, and being able to guard some centers as well. His size makes him somebody that you should covet in this league, somebody who's going to be out of the Clint Capella mold, but more athletic than Clint, faster than Clint. Yeah, I like the guy. You know what I mean? I think that you have to respect the fact that spacing is so important in this league right now that you want to kind of make him a competent three-point shooter. So he's going to have to work on that to really flourish in the league and demand the time that ultimately he can receive. But a guy with this type of length, the type of speed, that type of size, it's just incredibly important. Now, he's a bit older. He's been in college for a little while now. He may stay for his. I think he's a sophomore right now, 21 years of age on draft night. He's likely to probably play his junior season in Louisville. As I mentioned earlier, it's likely he probably goes back. But if he likes what he sees in the draft process, he should still remain. He's going to remain eligible for that. So I think it's more likely he goes back to school, to be completely honest with you. There's a lot of money to be making in the NIL, and from what I understand, he's one of the most coveted players, if not the most coveted player in the transfer portal. So, there's a lot of money to be made for Flory Bidunga. But if he does decide to come into the NBA, I think he's probably considered a late first rounder, depending on the team, early second rounder, somewhere between probably like 25 and like 39 in the draft range, which in my opinion, based on the type of demand that he has in college, probably makes it so that it's more likely he just stays out of the draft entirely, if I'm being completely real with myself. I don't think he'll be available. I don't. But just the same, if he is available, he's somebody to know, especially if you're a team that needs a center. He's somebody that I can see a team taking and giving him that center spot and him playing a lot early on. So, yeah, I think the speed makes him different, man. The speed makes him different. The turnovers makes him a bit different. And he rebounds and scores with what you would expect from a defensive center. So, yeah, Flory Bidunga is definitely somebody to draft. He's definitely going to play in the NBA at some point, but I think he's going to probably take all of that NIL money while he can capitalize on that. But, it's one of those things where it's like the blocks and the speed should translate right away. The lob catching ability should catch on right away. I don't expect that he's going to turn himself into like a ball handler or nothing like that. He's not going to be overly toolsy or no type of power forward type ball handling, nothing like that. He's more of a traditional, as I said, Clint Capella mold type center. If this was 2010 or 2008 or something like that, he'd be a top 5 player in the draft. You know what I mean? Just a throwback big boy center who can pretty much guard people smaller than any of those people in that era could ever guard. So he's just a next level Clint Capella style guy. Definitely like him a lot. Fun highlights to watch. He is going to continue to make crowds go wild. Kansas highlights was just him explosively dunking the ball, explosively blocking shots, and the crowd just completely got behind him on almost all of the plays. Deafening crowd for his Kansas career. So yeah, that's Flory Bidunga for you, man. So a powerful shot blocker, powerful defender, powerful slam dunker, great potential rebounding upside. Just a really, really overall solid big man. So that's what I got to say about him. Flory Bidunga. Probably going back to college. All right, next up is Zuby Ejiofor, out of St. John's. He's going to be 22 on draft night, so that might be a little bit of a knock on him. Originally from Garland, Texas, 6'9", 245 pounds. As I mentioned, they got a lot of these guys coming out that are this size, at that height. And this dude is another one of those type of players in that same mold that can guard players you would think he probably wouldn't be able to guard. He could stay in front of people that you wouldn't expect he'd be able to. Per 36 minutes, he averaged 19 points, 2.5 turnovers, 1.4 steals, 2.6 blocks, 4.3 assists, and 8.8 rebounds. So you really like the assist numbers from this guy. His passing ability and assist ability is well above average. He's a connective piece. He's going to get others involved, and that's what makes Zuby different. Aside from just his overall explosiveness and his open court ability when he's as a play finisher, he's somebody who could definitely do some great things there. His assist to turnover ratio 1.68. That's a real strength of his. Assist to usage rate 0.93. That's a very serious thing there for him as well. So he has some fantastic advanced stats in the assist category and in the blocks category. 2.6 blocks per 36 minutes is nothing to poo-poo at all. He is an excellent shot blocker. Playing volleyball out there, man. I really like this piece a lot overall. His three-point shooting 30%, so that's just below average, but not well below average. It's something that is essentially enough. He can shoot well enough to make it so that he punishes you for leaving him open. That's about as much as it's going to be. He's not going to be a three-point shooter, but if you leave him in the corner, you trust that he should be able to knock that shot down enough to keep himself on the basketball floor. The free throw percentage, 71%, can improve, I'd imagine. 53% from the field, that's pretty good. So this is a really, really powerful power forward. I think the problem is you want him to play center. Based on his skills, he doesn't have a whole lot of post moves and stuff like that. Kind of got a nice little hook shot that he's able to consistently hit. but he's not overly toolsy as it pertains to, well, toolsy is the wrong word, but not overly skilled to the point where you just giving him the ball in the open court like some type of Paolo Banchero type mold or nothing like that, Giannis or nothing like that. But he's more of a tweener center, which kind of hurts him in a way because he doesn't stretch the floor in such a phenomenal way, and because he is such a phenomenal shot blocker, you just hate the fact that he's only 6'9". That's the problem, because you can put him on bigger guys and have some success, but once you start talking about the NBA and you start dealing with these 7'4", 7'5" guys, they're just going to shoot over him. And that's kind of the story when he goes up against those players. But he's not necessarily someone you feel great about putting at the 4 spot because of the spacing limitations, because of a few other things that just ultimately make him someone you want to prefer to put at the 5. But, you know, he's an old school power forward. So if this were, again, 2008, he'd be a lottery pick, and you would just put him in the dunker spot or what have you, and feel great. You know, going up against some of the centers of the past, he would dominate. Power forwards of the past, rather, he would dominate. He would fit in very well with the Dale Davises and P.J. Browns and stuff like that. He would kick their butt. But in this era of floor spacers and super hybrid 4s and even super hybrid 5s, he's just a little undersized, so you feel that tweener label is going to be true to Zuby. Very true. But if you can get over that, he could be extremely productive on both sides of the floor. You can count on him to get consistent amount of scoring going on. He's going to dunk the ball on people's heads real nicely. He has an excellent arm length that really serves him, just like Flory. They both have ridiculous arm length for their height. So it becomes a situation where you make up for it. You know, he reminds me of the power that he plays with and the explosiveness that he tends to play with and run with reminds me of Julius Randle, but he doesn't have the ball handling or the playmaking that Julius has. Julius is going to pass a lot better, although this guy does have that as a strength. You don't expect that he's going to be as good as Julius in that regard, getting triple-doubles all the time, stuff like that. But he does remind me of a Julius Randle power player. But the thing that he has on Julius is Julius has short arms. This guy has long arms, so he's going to be able to accomplish even more in some cases. Catch lobs and stuff like that with ease. So I think Zuby Ejiofor is somebody who can be an enforcer. When I listen to people talk about him, he was a leader on the basketball floor. He was somebody who, in the locker room, you know, did the speeches and stuff like that. Playing at St. John's, obviously that's New York, so there's a certain confidence and culture that comes with just being a New York star, for which he's been for what? It's 4 years he's been at St. John's, and so he's definitely eligible for this draft. He will not be eligible for any more NIL opportunities, and I think this dude is an enforcer. You know, for me, because I was raised in the old school basketball era where these type of power forwards dominated and it had big opportunities all the time. They were on the floor and they were doing damage. I feel like I have a taste for his style of play. I don't really find myself shying away from the fact that he's a quote-unquote tweener, because I'm never going to put him at the 5 anyway. I'm going to love him at the 4, and we're going to be playing styles that represent the old school, probably a little more than what this era is comfortable with. And I feel like in that, I'm going to get so much production out of this dude. I'm going to damn near play him up to being an all-star depending on my situation. You know, I think he could be extremely helpful with the length and the shot blocking, timing, and the playmaking ability. I just put him in the mold of some of the other players in this draft that I'm excited about, who may have some limitations, but ultimately are big guys who are going to be able to help me on both sides of the floor. So I have him in the Joshua Jefferson conversation, the Allen Graves conversation, guys that are just going to help me playmaking along with power forward-like stuff. Koa Pete's a higher-level player that I did less homework on, so I ain't going to speak on Koa Pete. But I think of a guy like Joshua Jefferson. I have him in that mold. I think Zuby is in that mold for me. If you pass up, if you're not able to get that player, you get Zuby, you know, that kind of thing. And I just think that Zuby plays with a whole lot of force. The energy is there. The motor is high all the time. That's something that really needs to be said about Zuby Ejiofor. he plays at a maximum energy level, so you don't have to worry about him waking up for the big game. You don't have to worry about him being hyped for the big game, or even waking up for a game in Sacramento on a Tuesday night. He's going to be ready for all of those games and play with a significant amount of energy every single night, motor every single night. So that's what I really like about him. It's just the motor reputation that he has, and it showed up greatly in the highlights, packing everything, dunking all the time, doing his turnaround hook thing. You know, he is a really, really aggressive and energetic power forward. And at 245 rather, almost 250 pounds at 6'9", he's a large human being. And then the arm length just makes him incredibly productive in theory on a basketball floor. I think that those measurements should, in theory, outweigh the concerns of whether or not he's going to be a solid player in the NBA. And we got to remember, you know, we've seen guys. I often refer to players like Jared Allen. Jared Allen's only like 6'8", 6'9". People forget that because he plays the center position so well. But one of the reasons why he's able to do that is because he has the ridiculous arm length that makes up for the height difference. So he's still able to get to some of the same plays, block some of the same shots and stuff like that maybe your 7'1" guy would get. You know, he's still effective in defending those people. Now, he does have help next to him. But even when he didn't, back when he played with Brooklyn, he was still that guy. You know, I think of a guy like Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace was only like 6'8", something like that. But because of the conditioning he played in, and because of how gifted he was defensively, and because of the arm length and athleticism, he was able to do the job. I feel like we're forgetting how productive that tweener player can be. And it's like I've said many times, if a guy grows a fro, suddenly he's 7 feet and people don't even see him as a 6'9" tweener. That's what Zuby needs to do. Just grow a fro. And then people will literally forget that you're not 7 feet. And then they won't sit here and typecast you as somebody who's not going to be able to do it. Because at the end of the day, that's exactly what they're doing. It's affecting his draft stock on top of his age, was driving down his draft stock. But in reality, I think he's a first-round talent. I think Zuby Ejiofor is probably somebody that should be going around 25, 26, 27. Because I have less questions about him and his motor than I have about some of the other players that may have higher upside. I think he's likely to reach his ceiling probably more likely than some of these guys that they're really excited about, if I'm being honest with you. That may not be as high of a ceiling, but you're talking about getting the most out of who it is you're drafting. I believe you're going to get the most out of a guy who has the length that he has and the energy he has at 240, especially when you consider having to guard some of these big dudes that are coming into this league, some of the guys who are existing in this league who are of heavier size. You're gonna want Zuby Ejiofor on your team. You're definitely gonna want that type of explosiveness and that type of energy in a 245 pound body with longer arms than the body would otherwise come with. So, yeah, I think they're gonna they have him on Tankathon at 38, although they have not updated these player rankings in almost a month, so I wouldn't go by Tankathon at this point. They got to update their ratings. They had him at 38 at that time. I don't know if he's increased. Like I said, the age is probably what's really hurting Zuby. Probably more than being a tweener is the fact that he's 22 years old. But in the grand scheme of things, if you're looking at some of these teams that need enforcers, think about teams that lack rim protection. You think about teams that have low motor players at the power forward spot. Zuby Ejiofor could potentially be a guy that comes in and help change the culture. You think about these teams that thrive with energy-like players. Teams like Detroit and New York. They should be taking a look at this guy. So that's really my take on Zuby Ejiofor, man. And Flory Bedunga. Both of these guys are extremely impactful blocking shots. They're both extremely big human beings. 235 for Flory at 6'10" and 245 for Zuby at 6'9". These are brothers that are going to come in and create hell for NBA basketball floors, especially if they're coming off the bench. Starters, their deficiencies may show, but if they're coming in second units, they're going to be a part of some powerful second units, man. Guys that you're going to have to deal with, guys that are going to draw fouls. And in Zuby's case, guys that are going to get others involved. in Flory's case, guys that are likely not going to turn the ball over very much. So, as I've told people about this draft, while they're telling us about these guards, and I will admit, the top of the draft has a lot of high-level guards, especially between 4 and 10. You're going to find nothing but guards. But after that, what's flowing into the NBA for real is these 6'9" dudes, 245, 250 guys that have a hardcore motor who are likely going to be pushing people around. And if they can stay out of foul trouble, they're going to be hell to deal with. This league is going to become more physical, is essentially what I'm telling y'all. And if you're a team that if you are only drafting floor spacers and little wingy guys that are 210 pounds who are flying around, you think you're going to be able to put them at the 4 in the future because they can shoot the ball. They ain't going to be able to guard some of these big, heavy dudes that are coming in who are likely going to be pushing them to the ground and dunking on their heads. So the league is becoming significantly more physical. This video is pointing out 2 of many guys who are ultimately going to force the league into having strong players on their benches. It doesn't matter if they're overly talented. Just make sure they are heavy enough and energetic enough to deal with these Zuby, Flory dudes that are coming in the league that ain't going to be doing nothing but pushing and dunking and blocking shots and making life hell on smaller people. So that's pretty much what I got to say. My name is BDO44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.